Hey guys, I want to give you the backstory on some reporting I'm doing today. By the way, nice little ambiance, right? Little candle, little coffee, little candle and coffee. This story is really important, but I needed to get some clarification and I wanted to tell you how this all goes down behind the scenes. So this week, I've really been paying attention to who's saying what on the record. We heard from the top spy in the nation over the weekend. He talked to CBS, the director of the CIA. Well, this week, the director of the FBI decided to give an interview to Fox News, and it was a wide-ranging interview on a whole bunch of topics. The FBI director confirmed on the record for the very first time that the FBI does believe that the virus that causes COVID-19 was leaked from a Chinese lab. But just a friendly reminder, there are other intel agencies that don't agree with that. And there's no consensus still from the US government on the origin of COVID-19. Still thought it was an interesting headline and notable that he talked about it. But that actually wasn't the portion of the interview that I am planning on sharing with you. What really caught my attention is a comment that he made about violent crime and threats facing America. I'm sure some point over the last several years, you have seen, heard, read a headline, or heard friends talking about violent crime in America, about whether or not America is becoming a more dangerous place. That is going to be very key, by the way, going into the 2024 election. So what the FBI director said on this is that there are multiple threats facing the United States. He maps those out. And then he said something very specific about violent crime and violent crime arrests, saying that there were 55 arrests per day of violent criminals made by the FBI and their partners this summer. And you'll see this because I have the soundbite for you. You'll see him say like 55 violent criminals per day. Like he kind of says it like that. Yeah, wow, that's a lot. But there was no follow-up to that, and there's no context to that. So is the arrests of 55 violent criminals per day by the FBI and their partners a much higher number than previous years? Is that the most we've ever seen on record? Or is that only a handful more than you would see during a quote-unquote normal time? We need that context to understand how significant is that number. So I called the FBI. Yep, I called the FBI. There is a main number you can call. Had a nice conversation, was put on hold with lovely hold music. Finally got through to the press office where I got the right email to make the request. Put in the wrong email, had to call back to clarify. I was having all these issues. Finally talked to a nice press person, which, you always get lucky when someone's actually willing to talk to you. And I have that request into the FBI because I don't mind posting this soundbite for you. But if we don't have the context, then we can't fully understand the meaning behind it. There's still meaning to it. You can tell by watching him, which is why we need to see people on the record. But we want to be able to give you something a little smarter. By the way, it never fails. I still feel like I'm 20 years old whenever I call, cold call people. I'm like, hi, this is Jenna Lee from Smarter News. We're a nonpartisan news source for busy American families. I have to go through the whole thing. No matter what, it's always difficult. But one of the things I've learned, and this is so key, so just think about how this could apply to your own life. No one ever calls anymore. No one ever wants to call. But there's power in actually calling, and there's power in actually showing up in person. But I spoke to somebody else in Border Patrol the other day, and I was like, I bet you're getting 1 million calls on this topic. And he was like, not really. You're actually the first one. I'm like, I'm the first one? Jenna Lee from Smarter News is the first one. This is international news. So it just gives you an idea how important it is to show up and ask the questions. So I would give this probably a 50-50 chance of getting a response, getting a meaningful response that's going to be helpful to us. And that doesn't mean that someone's trying to not answer. It depends on their workload. It depends on who else is making requests. And criminal data can be real tricky, which is part of the reason why I directly asked that question. They could potentially direct me to a database, which is not going to be extremely helpful just for the context of what we're trying to just easily provide. But we got to give it a shot. So that's what I've been doing today. And, now I got the number to the FBI office, and now there's one more person that knows about Smarter News in Washington, D.C. Quick PSA, public service announcement. Some of you have been asking me about Scoop and why I do Scoop and why I do things away from Instagram. And so let me just give you a quick explanation of that. Sometimes I want to dive deeper into these topics, like the origin of COVID, like what everyone's saying, what's going on with Russia and China, and give more depth. And I can't do that always on Instagram in an effective way. In the past, my account has been flagged, content has been taken down, I've been threatened to have my account completely blocked, and I'm a good guy. I'm trying to share nonpartisan news. And so for the cost of $1 a week, you get a special report delivered to your inbox, and we don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about, should I post this story about the COVID-19 origin that the FBI said because, Instagram's going to flag me. I don't have to worry about that with Scoop. So if you love Smarter News, please support us that way. And now that I'm all up in the FBI's business, I'm definitely going to be surveilled. So that's good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not going off the deep end. I promise. It's promise. But what would they find? What would they find? They'd find all my work for Smarter News. So that would cover terrorist activity, drone reports, Iran, Russia, Al Qaeda. And then there would be Amazon shopping, research on the best nail polish color, Zara. Yeah, that would be, they'd be like, this is manic. That's what they would say. And they'd be like, we're good. We're out. Just cut that off.